and welcome to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin, the owner of Meraki Media Management. The End in Mind is a place where we come to share stories, tips, and strategies of many entrepreneurs, creatives, business owners, and just some people that aren't willing to live the traditional lifestyle. We talk about how to live outside of the box today and how to incorporate what really is important in your life to keep that end goal always in mind. Again, if you would like to reach out to me in any type of way, you can find me on Instagram at Meraki_media_management. And I hope to hear from you all soon. Thanks so much and enjoy our show. Hey everybody, it's Caitlin here with Meraki Media. Today we are going to be talking about video and really giving you some great tips. I have a great guest here with me today, Yesenia. She's fantastic. I was on her podcast a few months back, and so now I'm really excited to have her on ours, on the End in Mind. It's going to be really fun, and I'm just going to share with you all a little bit more about her. So she is a photographer, a marketing coach for photographers. So she specializes in brand photography, weddings, content creation, right up our alley. And she helps photographers grow their brand with purpose, joy through strategic content creation, one-on-one coaching, and online courses. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Kate, for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here and be able to chat with you once again.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really can't wait to learn more about your story as well. I feel like last time it was all about me, so I can't wait to learn more about you. And I've seen your brand grow and develop even just from the time that we spoke. I know you were in a little bit of transition there, and now you've opened up these courses. It looks like it's going so well. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that, and then we'll kind of dive into the interview questions?
Absolutely. I am a photographer, like you mentioned, and I'm a photographer turned marketing strategist. Thank you, COVID. So this is, last year was really a very interesting process for me and my business, where I had to shift, and I had started shifting slightly right before the start of the pandemic, and then just the pandemic hit, and it sort of made sense for me to, this was the next step. So I've been a photographer for over 10 years, and even before I shifted my business into marketing, I had been working in the film and the marketing industry for quite a while now, actually since 2008. So I've been dabbling, I had the chance to dabble a lot in various aspects of this communication and media industry. And I think it's just such a fun industry overall, and just being able to, do my thing and being able to help other entrepreneurs do the same and be able to help them build a solid foundation for their business with joy and with purpose. I think that's just like the cherry on top. So I'm so glad to be able to be here and share a little bit of what I know.
Yes, I'm so excited. And it's so true, I love what we do because it's really adaptable, we can show people how to do so many different things, especially with video now, as we see all these new features rolling out, which I know my audience, we're all rolling our eyes, we want nothing to do with learning more things, But the beauty of this as well, which is video, right? As they go through and as they're developing, the more we can connect with our client. And that kind of leads me into, can you tell us a little bit more of why video is so important and why, especially for photographers, but also just entrepreneurs in general, why do we need to incorporate video, and what does it do for our audience when we do so?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And really, video is really a wonderful tool to help bridge that gap in putting a face to the name and a sound to that name, because people connect with people. That's how we do life. So when COVID came in, we were sort of deprived from being able to do having these in-person experiences. So the next best thing is to be able to connect with video. I read an article, it was pretty much telling that because of this past year, the new tendency is for people to find communities online even, that are, where they can connect with more people. And this is just beyond the idea of a business mindset. This is just community. Let's hang out. We have similar interests. So that is why video is so important, because as a business owner, it is going to help you connect better with your audience. That's one thing, but it's going to also help you set yourself apart from the industry. It's going to sprinkle your personality there, but also help establish yourself as an authority figure in your industry.
Yes, I love that. And it's so true. Like even the little tics that we have, or the little like personality features, it doesn't come out when we're just taking photos. Nobody really gets to know who you are just by looking at a photo of you. So I totally agree. Like even the things like Reels and TikTok, which we'll get into a little bit more, you can incorporate some fun little twists to it. It brings out your humor, a different side to you that a lot of people want to know, especially if you do things like what we do with coaching and training. They want to know more about us before they normally buy,
Exactly, because the industry, even just the photography industry, but even like the social media marketing industry, it is very saturated. So what is it that is going to differentiate you from the next person? What is your secret sauce? And what is it that you bring to the table that is extra special that you can share with your audience and make it possible for them to relate to you and to connect to you, and then to establish those really authentic relationships. And then from there, that kind of blooms into whatever that could be. It could be an ongoing relationship. It could be you're just finding your business bestie. Who knows? But it's just the idea of being able to foster these really genuine relationships is one of the biggest things that video can help bring to your business and to the whole experience as the client, but also as an entrepreneur as well.
Yes, I love that. And obviously, our community is all about authentic relationships. So to hear you say that, it just really brings it home for all of us that have maybe been trying not to be on video and over the glam of it all and getting dressed up. And that kind of leads me into my next question. Do you have any tips for our listeners in ways that they can start to create videos without all the pressure that we put on ourselves, or the glam, as we might call it, that can take hours, it feels like, prepping for our videos? Is there a way that we can hop on and just show up every day? Or what would you say is an easy way for entrepreneurs to just create more video content for their audience?
Absolutely. I think first of all, make sure that you are true to yourself. And when you go online, you can see a whole bunch of different styles of videos. Don't be afraid of, if you see this other person doing really fancy editing or whatnot, don't be afraid of that. Don't be discouraged. Be true to you. So that's very important. First of all, know your audience as well, and know what you're passionate and what is your strongest suit, so that you can then help your audience solve that pinpoint problem. That's like on the surface level, those three things you need to do. But on the technical side of things, batch recording is like one of the best ways that you can be really productive and be hyper focused. So let's say you know what your brand is, who you are, you know your audience, you understand their pinpoint problems, so you have those down, you know your strong suit. So now you go ahead and create a series of videos that helps address those problems. Within those videos, you can talk about your business and what your mission is behind your business. So this is like an about me, about your business type of video. You can then talk about a client experience. So sort of walk your audience through the whole experience of what they're going to expect when they hire you from the very beginning, like from the very time you have that discovery call with them. What is the experience that they can be expecting? And then you can also create content that is educational, like how to do something, how to create this, or a tutorial for how to create reels, for example, which I know we're going to be talking about in a bit. Another thing that you can also talk about is just, creating content that's informational, educational, entertaining by having that in mind, that's going to help you go into your production day and knowing that you're going to be batch creating. That's going to make it more productive for you. And then you're going to feel more confident just by knowing that you already have a plan in mind. Because that's actually one of the things that a lot of people feel overwhelmed with is just, okay, I need to create video. I don't know where to start. And I'm all over the place, So not having a strategy, not having a strategy is definitely gonna show up, or you're gonna feel that you're not super confident because you know that there's quite a concrete strategy behind it. So knowing that today we're going to do 3 videos and I'm gonna talk about 1, 2, and these 3 things. That alone will give you the confidence that you're going to need to show up and press record and talk about those things. So that's big thing. So 1, think about your batch creating. Make sure that you are addressing your right audience, that you're being authentic, and that you are helping them answer that pinpoint problem. And then create a type of content that is either inspirational, educational, or entertaining based on what your core content message, your core content pillars are.
That is so great. I love the 3 little words that you give us. I literally was writing down notes as you were talking. Educational, informative, and exciting. That's such a great pinpoint for all of us to just keep in the Rolex in our head, index in our head to go back to later. Rolex in my head. Oh my gosh, it's been a long week.
It is. And one other thing, once you have that, the next thing is once you're ready to start recording that video, you want to think of 3 things within each video. First, you want to grab your audience's attention within the first couple of seconds. So that's called the hook. Then you want to have the core content portion of your video. And then finally, you want to leave with a call to action. You always want to leave with a call to action because that's going to invite them to follow, subscribe, send you a DM, sign up, book, whatever it is that you want to do, have them to do. So it's sort of that part of, it's a little bit of your whole communications and marketing funnel. So knowing those 3 things as you record each of your videos is going to be key and very helpful in making sure that you are marking off the information that you want to deliver in each of your videos.
Yeah, that was so great. Such great tips. The 3 pieces, the 3 takeaways with the hook and the core content and the call to action. I mean, I hope you guys are all writing down notes as well, because this is really good information that a lot of people don't share either. The call to action is so important in content creation. You and I know most people won't even do the call to action until they hear it maybe 20 times, And that's because we're all a little bit insecure or a little bit just off-putted by reaching out online. And that just comes down to, again, being more authentic and showing them that you're open to having a conversation, or you're open to giving them tips, or discussing your product and or service with them through the DMs. And that's really where we build the relationships. Most of the time, our audience builds the relationships through the DMs. So without the call to action, how are we supposed to get them in the DMs,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was so great. I definitely am saving these notes for later too.
Awesome.
So how did you get into all of this? Can you tell us a little bit more about your story? And I know you kind of gave a little synopsis early on when I was asking you, how you got started, but how did this pivot for you down the line? Even in the pandemic, you gave us some great examples, and we all know the word pivot, right? This year, we're so over it, but it's so true. We have to be adaptable. So I would love for you to share with us a little bit more about your story.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, I've been in this communications and media industry since 2008, and this is professionally speaking. I'm from Puerto Rico, and my background is in film production, graphic design, and then photography. So I've been able to merge all of those 3 into every single thing that I've done. So I've been very blessed to have had the opportunity to work in various aspects of all the things that I studied. And I know that that's not the story for a lot of people. I think part of that is because I get bored really easily. So I need that. I need that constant challenge. So it's part of that. Now it sort of organically happens with me. And one thing leads to the other, and I ended up coming to California to complete my studies, and then from there I came to North Carolina and I formalized my business. I had a business in Puerto Rico for graphic design and photography, so I brought in the lessons learned from there. I closed my business. It didn't go 100% well or 100% as I would have liked, so I learned those lessons and then I've applied them when I started my new lessons. So my new business, almost 6 years now. So I've had to start all over twice from nothing. So I totally understand, and the feeling of, well, now we're hit with this pandemic. Now what? So it's take it as a challenge, take it as not something bad, take it as an opportunity for you to then think about how you can think outside the box and then reinvent your business so that you can reach a broader audience.
I love your story. I mean, I didn't even know that, so to hear your story, it's so great. And also for our listeners, even just us, like the business has evolved so much. We take on different types of clients. We're always changing. So I love your approach and your mindset based around challenges and not seeing it as, oh, I have to give up now. It didn't go the way I wanted it the first time. I might as well just go back to the workforce. It's like, heck no, this is what we want to do. And we're willing to put the drive behind it to get there. That's definitely something that most of us have, that drive within us. It's like, we know that we want these goals, but sometimes they seem really scary, or when they don't work out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was very frustrated because things were not going well, and I'm like, I think I might quit photography. And just to say that, I'm like, wow, what am I gonna do? This is the only thing I know. Well, what am I gonna do? And I'm like, just suck it up, Yesenia. This is, that deep down, this is what you want to do, and you have a purpose behind it. So, there's gonna be moments where it's gonna be very hard, and that's just, that's an opportunity. Take that as an opportunity, and if you need to step back to revisit and analyze and really meditate on it, then do it. Because if you're just on this go mindset, then you won't have the option or the opportunity to really take a view of your business and your life and how those two interact with each other from a bird's eye perspective. So sometimes it's just hold your horses, take a moment, breathe, and then see everything, and then revisit that and determine, well, what is your next step? And know that whatever that next step be is actually in alignment with your goals, with what you really want to do. And if it's not, then okay, that was a learning opportunity. Let's move on to the next one.
You literally just hit the nail on the head, that is what the end in mind is supposed to encapsulate for all of our listeners and teach them, because as an entrepreneur, we know that the challenges are always up ahead, right? It feels like it's always an uphill battle. There's always something new changing, especially with things like content creation.
Yes.
Instagram's updating. We have to learn something. And the more you're able to approach it with the challenge idea and the bird's eye perspective of keeping the end in mind, so to say, of your goals and what you want your life to look like. Because I think also, as being an entrepreneur, you're in this society where most people go to work every day, or they have a regular job and they're in their 9 to 5, and you're not. And it's really challenging to know, what am I supposed to be doing every day? What does my life look like? And most of the time, our businesses become a part of our lifestyle. They have to have an overlap. It's very difficult for us to have a separation. So when you're able to incorporate it all and see it as a perspective like that, it really does make things seem less scary as well, because it's affecting everything in your life, and it seems more doable to put things forward and push forward if you know what you want in the end.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I love that you also mentioned meditation. That's something I have recently incorporated into my lifestyle, or, morning routine, let's say. And I'm really liking it. I find that I have more energy throughout my day, and I'm much more productive, like what you're saying.
Yeah, I've been doing more meditation myself, and I found recently on YouTube, just Googled it, I am meditation. And I say it out loud, and I just feel good. Okay, I'm ready? Let's just tackle this day.
I love it. It's true. Like, I think also as well, like even people that are in a 9 to 5, let's say you currently have a full-time job right now, it's important to give yourself that time throughout your day to even think about what you want, because we're also, like this, like with all of our notes and our thoughts, it's almost like they're right in front of us. We can't see the perspective. It's clouded,
Yes.
And the meditation has given me some of that space in my life to create this lifestyle or this vision of what I want. And before, when I was working nonstop and getting up out of bed and just going right to work, I wasn't able to even think about the end goal or my end avenue at all.
And being able to share, and I've noticed that you've been sharing some of that on your social media, and that's actually a really great way for you to showcase your personality, whether that is, specifically on Instagram, but like you can do it on any social media platform that you're hanging out and your audience is hanging out. But like, that's an example of a video example that you can create. It's just like sharing a bit of a personality, and that is a really fun way for another person to connect with you.
It's so true. Like, you can bond with anyone over the smallest thing, but unless you open up that side of your life, how are they supposed to know that side of you? Yeah, and I also would like to get into like the ideas of what it takes to really get to that point, and bust through and reach that confidence level. Would you say it's just jumping in and going for it? Or would you also recommend people take that step back, prepare for the video, as you mentioned, batch some of that content, and then go for it? Where would you recommend most of our listeners start if they haven't, created video before?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's very easy to get overwhelmed with everything that's coming up and like, okay, I need to do video, but then what? So done is better than perfect. So we are not perfect. So the important thing is for you to show up. But part of that showing up involves you really knowing ultimately how that one video is going to serve your audience and in what way. And also thinking that in the long run, that one video, how can you then reuse it in other ways? So for example, this is a video podcast. So you have two forms. You have a video format and you have an audio format. From this, you can create a blog post where you kind of grab snippets from highlights from this interview, and then you can also grab shorter snippets of this video and share them on social media with some graphics, or just share the 30-second reel of it. So you have one big chunk of content, and then then you have that same content redistributed into other portions. And that's really part of that post-production and distribution portion of video production. It's not just creating it and done and it lives there and it dies there. It's just, how are you incorporating that into the grand scheme of things? So sometimes it is important to take a step back and see what you're doing and how everything that you have in your business is communicating with each other. And if something is off, then you need to decide, well, is that important or not important? And then figure out a way to connect them like a puzzle.
That's a great tip. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have an objective for each of the videos that you do. And even if it's just one video a week, one reel, one TikTok, or one YouTube video, whatever that is, or maybe once a month or once every other week, that's another. You want to be consistent. So one, acknowledge your goals for those videos, and then be realistic with how your business and your personal lifestyle and how those two interact with each other, so that then you can set a realistic expectation, so that you can then plan for your video production day and then be able to showcase consistently on your platforms, however that might look. Once a week, once a day.
That's such a great tip. And it is so true. Like, think about your lifestyle and your schedule and what fits in too, because it gets really filled up really quick, Our calendars
Yeah.
get really booked, and then we get overwhelmed, and then nothing gets done. So that's a great tip, and I totally agree, especially with things like stories, like what you mentioned. They can hop in, and our listeners can hop in and start testing out things that way, and then creating those objectives longer down the line when they're ready. They have some ideas, but just get their toes wet. I think that that's a great idea for them if they're just getting started and maybe a little bit hesitant.
Yes. One of the biggest thing is, the Instagram platform specifically, it's all about being casual and authentic, and you will see a very different production level in YouTube. YouTube, you typically see more higher end type of videos. So don't be afraid to just start with your smartphone, get in front of a window and press record. That's it. You don't need all the fancy bells and whistles. Just start with that.
Yes, that makes it seem so doable. It's like, okay, find some good lighting in the morning, maybe, after your meditation.
Done.
That's such a great tip, because then you don't even need to order one of those, selfie sticks or some of those recording pieces, which can be expensive. It adds up, especially if we're just starting out and we have to really, spend our dollars wisely. That's such a great tip for just jumping in and going for it. Thank you for sharing that. And I'd love to ask you, let's talk a little bit about TikTok and Reels. And when you look at those platforms, is that something that we need to be on as business owners? And would you recommend putting an effort towards getting on those platforms or creating that type of video content, and why?
Yes, and I think they're novel, yes, and it's one more thing to do, but the way that these platforms, specifically Instagram, is using Reels to promote these accounts and how they're being able to feature more accounts on the Explorer page. So that's really opening up the opportunity for your brand to be recognized by other people. So the fact that Instagram is making it easier in that sense, then it's like a no-brainer. It is still a free platform, so you don't have to spend money in that sense to create a Reels. Right now, they're not. You can definitely create video ads, but that's just a different topic. But the fact is, it is a free platform, and they're relatively short videos. So you have 15 to 60 seconds. I think TikTok has 60 seconds now.
Yeah.
Whichever one you feel that is the better one for you to connect with your audience. Like, you want to know where your audience is hanging out. If your audience is on TikTok, then you definitely want to be on TikTok. If your audience is on Instagram the most, then head on over and create some Reels. You can always repurpose the Reels on whatever platform. I think it's definitely important for you to consider to be creating these short form videos, because right now our attention span is like in a blink of an eye. So it's really short, and this is value bomb information that you can deliver within 15-30 seconds or something like that. So I think it is a really great opportunity for you to take advantage of, and you can even use it as a testing ground, because these are really 15-30 second videos that you can just use your phone and grab and record. You don't need a fancy production, but it could be your playground and your practice round, so that you can then later on feel more confident in creating other types of video content where it might be a little bit more techie sounding.
That's a great tip. I totally agree. I enjoy the Reels. I think they're really fun, and I actually have a lot of fun with making them too. So I look forward to it now. I've made it fun,
Yes.
and I think that that's something we have to do. We have to make content creation fun, especially if we aren't to the point where we can outsource it to somebody.
Right.
It has to be, silly or incorporate that personality. And the more fun that you have creating the video, I feel like our audience always knows.
Yeah, it's going to show up. People feed from that energy, and it's going to show up. People will connect.
Yeah, I totally agree. And they feel it, it's like from the other end of the screen, they really feel it. And then those relationships, they feel like they know you,
Yeah.
You always get those DMs sometimes where people are like, hey, I've been thinking about you a lot. And it's really sweet. I love those DMs. It makes you feel like your content's working, and all of this effort that you're putting in to create it is paying off now,
Absolutely.
That is a time thing as well. I think that it takes some time to get used to that, and for your audience to get used to that. And there's a lot of silent watchers out there that may not even like the video, but they're watching it, and it's building the relationship with them down the line. And that's really where I think our relationships are then taken offline after. They're spreading our information word of mouth, even to friends, coworkers at their networking events. And without that video, they wouldn't know to even share that information. And the short-term clips, I think it's also great for people that are just starting out, because you don't have to be long-winded. You can give those quick little pieces, and then you're done for the day. Yeah. It's awesome. Well, can you tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you? What is the best way? Where can they find you on Instagram, since most of us, that is our platform of choice?
Sure. You'll definitely find me on Instagram at Focus and Bloom Studios, and you can also check out my work at focusandbloomstudios.com. You can even, when you go to either my website or Instagram, I have a free video marketing toolkit, free download that you can grab, and you have information about like what gear you can use and even how to start planning your strategy. So it's free, so just download. You
guys have to get over and get that. I'm definitely going to get that. It's so true. We can always learn so much. And even if you are a video expert, it's good to learn different types of avenues. Like this little downloadable could spark an idea for you that you maybe might not have had before. So definitely going to get that, because I need to brush up on my video editing skills as well. So I'm excited to check that out. And thank you so much. Now you guys know where to find her. So this was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on The End in Mind. And I will talk with you soon.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. It was a pleasure to be on your podcast.
Thank you so much for listening to The End in Mind. I would like to remind you all, if you haven't yet reached out to me on Instagram, we are at Meraki_media_management. It will be in our show notes as well. If you would like to reach out to me, we always offer free coaching through Instagram based around our Instagram training and our business Instagram practices. If you need any type of support, please do not hesitate to reach out to me there. And we also offer several different types of consulting and training packages if you're looking for a little bit more in-depth tips. So thank you all for listening in, and of course, I want you all to keep the end in mind as you continue with your day and or work week. Have a great week, and I will see you all next time.